Hey, what's up, courageous men? We are back again this week as we're just diving into the attributes of God and what they allow us to do. If you missed it last week, we talked about how God can forgive everything that we've done. And this week, we're really kind of going into the same idea because God can forgive us, but the question we have as men many times after that is, but can he change me? And so I am surrounded by some incredible guys today. We've got Emerson Morris here from the Temple Terrace campus. If you don't know who Emerson is, he works with all of our groups, and he is also the one that will respond to any mean emails that I get in person. And then we got Pastor Jerry Batista, the man, the myth, the legend, as we dive into this topic of can God really change me? Because I know with men, many times we go, you know what, I've always been this way, or my anger always responds this way, or this always happens. And it really does come down to the ideas, is God powerful enough or patient enough to change me? And Emerson, you know this, and you know this, is that God actually does have the power to change us, but he also has the power to redeem our past.
No, you're right. I mean, it's important that God can change us. You know, growing up, many times God is always trying to transition us from having a fleshly heart to a spiritual heart. You know, Jeremiah talks about the heart is deceitful and wicked. We know that. But growing up playing football and sports from little league all the way up to high school, I mean, matter of fact, Miami Northwestern, the school that you did not go to.
I did not go. I went to Flanagan, but yeah.
A lot of not the same as Dade County, but anyway. So playing at Northwestern and also from All-American to high school, transitioning to USF, I was always shaped around sports and performance and driven to actually perform well. But my last year in college, playing at Raymond James Stadium, I broke my right leg. And during that time, I became frustrated with God, angry with God, saying to myself, how in the world could this be? Playing sports, leading guys to Christ, doing small Bible study in my dorm. How could this happen to me? But during that time, God had to show me that true desires of my heart wasn't just sports and performance. He had to show me that I was idolizing myself, performance-driven, looking for affirmation. And so God always take us through the stripping, but he's not stripping us to harm us. He's stripping us to multiply us.
That's good. Yeah, he took what you were or what you believed you were.
Correct.
And I think as men, we can be honest, we do that a lot. We go, I am this, and sometimes it's our profession. It's what we used to play sports-wise. It's funny to see guys that are much older that still say I'm an athlete. But we like to believe we are. True. But we do. We put so much in that, and God wants to change that. He doesn't want you to just see yourself as I used to be this, or this is who I think I am. He goes, no, this is who you are.
Right. And I think many times as men, we get so caught up because we built this name for ourselves. And God is saying, hey, I want to build you, but I want to build you spiritually. That you don't trust your own ability. So, yeah, it's a lot to change every day.
Yeah, because we're afraid when God takes over, then I lose that part of who I am.
Correct.
Or that doesn't matter anymore. But actually what God does is he takes that and he uses that, because God's used your past football abilities, what you've done before, all that kind of stuff. People, I've seen this many times, guys who play sports are drawn to Emerson many times. And you look at Emerson, you know he plays sports. And so it's like, it's a big guy. And so, and you're just kind of drawn to him, but at the same time, you can go, I went through this, I know what God did in me. He can do it through you. You know, in the same way, God has the ability to redeem our past. He also has the ability to renew our present.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we miss the fact that God doesn't save us and say, hey, figure it out.
Yeah.
Like he's already ahead of you. And I love when he says, I'm going to give you a new heart. And I know for me in my salvation experience, I was so enamored who I was before. Like I was a self-made guy. My dad left when I was really young. So I figured things out. Now, you know, my world's falling apart. I need salvation. I say yes to Jesus. Now I'm trying to figure that out. And he says, no, I'm going to give you a new heart. That is the old you, Jerry. And I need you to live with the new you. I just love that. I love that verse in 2 Corinthians 5:17 where he says, I'm giving you a new heart. And the relationship with him starts with him initiating it with something he deposits on you. And I think for us, sometimes we get stuck in the past, you know, the old habits that we have. I think Jesus delivers us, but new habits keep us away from that old self.
And that happens overnight, right?
No. It's a journey. It's a journey.
It is. It's a process that takes time, and it's a process that we have to actually go, all right, God, I'm going to hand you this, which is the hard part, I think, as guys, because it doesn't happen overnight. And when it doesn't happen overnight, we go, well, I might as well take this back.
Right.
Because it's tough to give it to God, because at least I know when I'm ahead of it, I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I know what's going to end up happening, but with God, I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But he promises us that he'll renew our present,
Yeah.
which means this, he'll give us something new in this moment, something we didn't expect was possible.
Right, and it's really challenging when your whole life you're conditioned to hold on.
Yes.
Like this is something you need to protect. And it takes me back to Noah's story, right? This is a guy who God called out to build the ark. Took what, 100 years to build it in the desert? Think about it, back and forth, back and forth. What kept him going? He knew the character and competency of God.
Yeah.
And that's hard for us
Yeah.
because we need to let go of that. And I remember Pastor Craig saying, when we let go, we grow.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, it does crack me up with Noah, because they're in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
It's like, why are
You're
you building a
crazy.
boat?
You're crazy.
But it doesn't make sense to do this. It doesn't make sense for us. You said we love to hold on to things. It doesn't make sense for us to trust somebody else at this moment.
Right.
Because for a lot of us, everybody we've trusted let us down, or they didn't come through in the way we wanted them to. And God's going to know, I have the power to actually change things. But we've got to trust him to be able to do that. And then here's the deal. He changes, he redeems our past, he renews what's in front of us, our present, but he also has the ability to change our future. And I think this is something that we don't always spend enough time on, because we're so focused in the now, we forget what's going to happen in the future. Ephesians 3:20 and 21 says, now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than we ask or imagine, according to his power that is work within us. Immeasurably more. Now, we don't normally think about that, because we tend to look what's right in front of us. You know, I don't see what could possibly happen. All I see is the fight I had last night with my wife. I don't see what could possibly happen. I just know my kids right now are driving me up the wall. You know, I don't know what could happen, but I know this is what's happening right now with my job, and we don't see the possible future impact. And somebody we see that in the Bible with is a guy named Paul. Paul was a guy who actually, at first we see him in the Bible, he's named Saul, and Saul was a guy that was the opposite of what we wanted. Like, he was killing Christians. Yeah. He was the guy that was holding coats while they stoned a guy named Timothy. So he was a guy that was full of himself. He was a guy that actually had made it. I mean, here's the other side of it. Paul had made it. He was at the top of his profession. He was known. He was given all sorts of responsibility. Then all of a sudden, on the road to Damascus, God calls him out. In that moment, and he says, hey, you've been persecuting me. This is all going to change. And what's crazy is God takes somebody who was killing Christians, who was incredibly full of himself. Then all of a sudden you see Paul going out, starting churches, writing most of the New Testament we see today. And he's doing all this. Why? Because he changed his future. God changed what was going to happen. Paul's future was going to be drastically different if God didn't get a hold of his life. But I doubt anyone in that moment, especially those early Christians, I doubt anyone in that moment saw Paul and said, God's going to use him for something amazing. Because they saw somebody that killed their friends. They saw somebody that took over their lives. And so as Christians, we've got to understand something. Like, when God calls us to go after something, it's not something we just go, okay, God, this is in your hands, now I'm not going to do anything. It's something that we do have to fight for. And I heard a pastor say this before. As Christians, we don't get to pick a legacy, we fight for one. Because sooner or later, it's going to be tough. Sooner or later, we're going to want to take it back, right? We're going to want to go, I would rather do this my way. Right. And so as we kind of talk about this, what is something today, Emerson, that you go, when it comes to handing this to God, when it comes to believing that he has that power, what is something you want these courageous men just to understand?
Well, I think it's important to realize that your history should not define your destiny.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times guys, and even over courageous and temple terrorists, a lot of times we got great guys and even across the world, but guys fight with their past. Yeah. And so realizing your past, use your past as an asset, not liability. Growing, I think 2019, I had a AFib, a heart procedure, and outside the hospital, my wife stood up and she was in the driver's side, I'm on the passenger side. And it took me a while to walk into the hospital because I'm staring at the sign that says Heart Trauma Institute. And it took me about 30 minutes to walk into the hospital because I was in denial. Yeah. I was in denial, me, fitness guy, ex-football player, Heart Trauma Institute. And I realized trauma is not what we experience, it's when we're in denial of what we experience. And I think many times as guys, we are in denial of our history, but don't allow your history to be a trauma or define you. Allow that to be the fuel. Like, for example, my father couldn't read. His brothers couldn't read. I struggled in reading, but God's graced me to write 3 books. So I used the trauma, the history, to propel me to the destiny that God. And so for somebody else, it may not be books. It may be saying I'm sorry to your wife, or apologize to my kids, or it's okay, I made mistakes. So allowing the history, the trauma, to propel you to your destiny.
Well, and God says he can use everything for good.
Amen.
He didn't cause any of the bad things to happen, but he can use it for good, which means no matter what your history is, he can use it for good. He can take the fact that you had to fight through those things, to walk through those things. He can take the fact that you had heart issues as a young man to help the other men that think they're indestructible, that have to deal with, man, I need help.
Correct.
And so that is so important there. What about you?
I mean, for me, growing up in such a dysfunctional family, not having a dad, that has helped me reach men and speak to men into that brokenness. That failure, wherever we messed it up, and some of the guys are watching me, you don't know how bad I've done it. I've screwed it up. I've made a mess of my marriage or parenting or kids. Failure is not a person. Failure is an event that happened to you. And one of the things that I love what you said, it doesn't define who we are, but God will use it. And I know that I always said your most effective ministry comes out of our brokenness. God will use that brokenness to reach somebody, to help somebody, to encourage somebody. And you know what? It doesn't always look perfect, but God will use it. And I know he's used it for my journey that I've been on. And it's been really cool to see the legacy that has been growing. I wasn't even aware of a legacy. I was talking to Hal the other day. It was on a Sunday morning. I'm ready to close the service, and I'm so emotional from the message. And then in 1 second, God says, look in the front row. And I'm looking in the front row. My whole family's there. There's like 18 people in the front row. And I remember he brought me back to a place in my life 22 years ago that I always quit on my family. But in those circumstances, in the moment, because we're so moment-driven, I didn't see the legacy that God was creating. So don't quit. Failure is an event, not a person.
That's good. I think we tend to overestimate what we can do in a short period of time, and we greatly underestimate what God can do with a lifetime. That's true, 22 years. I mean, imagine, it's that idea, what I would have missed out on. God can do so much over time, but it takes us every day choosing to put him first. I mean, just to put it in perspective, if he can create all the heavens and all the earth, he can change our life. He can change everything about us. But as men, we've got to go, I believe you can. And I've got to put it in your hands. I got to stop doing it my way every single time and allow his power to work through me. But I love it. Your history doesn't define your future. And don't quit, guys. Don't quit. So guys, as we are about to go into our time of just having some discussion, guys, just be honest with one another. Let's be honest how sometimes what causes us to give up, some things that we maybe don't like to talk about because we don't like to give it to God. And why is it as men, there's a lot of things we struggle giving to God the most? And it always centers around that pride. So let's be honest in our time right now as our discussion. What is it that we tend to be the most prideful about? And what are the things that we need to give to God? Let's have a great discussion, guys.